Hello, and how is it going? So I want to do this one a la radio DailyCliche. So go ahead and just throw me on another tab, minimize it, and hang out and listen to what's going on in Battlefield 2042. So in this video, we're going to go over what we know about the gameplay, what we know about the story, and what we know about the specialists. A bunch of information in this video, so be sure to hit the subscribe button if you find value here. But let's get into basically what the core of Battlefield and what it is. Battlefield itself is a basically vehicular all-out warfare game. It is basically the one that originated it, other than Codename Eagle, if you remember back that far. But Battlefield 1942 hit the scene, and it was a major thing for me. It basically shaped my gaming career, and that's why I am absolutely pumped for this basically rebranding of Battlefield 2042. So this game takes place, obviously, in the future, about 20 or so years. So let's see how we got here in the storyline. Welcome to 2042. As the world stands on the brink of war, a new kind of stateless soldier emerges from the greatest crisis in human history. How did we get here? A decade of chaos. 2031. 10 years is all it took to bring the world to the brink. Rising sea levels, collapsing economies, broken alliances, and the headlines kept rolling in. October 9, 2033, Hurricane Zeta, the world's first Category 6 storm. January 11th, 2034, global food, fuel shortages spark Second Great Depression. August 8th, 2035, the EU officially disbands following Germany's collapse. The rise of the no-pats. Left behind, the displaced band together into ragtag fleets in search of safe harbor. They are families, farmers, doctors, engineers, and soldiers. The once privileged and impoverished with backgrounds that are worlds apart, forced together, determined to survive. The media calls them the non-patrioted. They call themselves the no-pats. These are basically people that have no national alliances. The new normal, 2037. Humanity adapts to the new normal. Revolutions in energy, desert irrigation, hydraulic levees, and seawalls save coastal cities, reclaim farmland, and rebuild supply chains. Hope of finding stability leads to some nations reopening their borders. However, with no way to repatriate 1.2 billion people, the no-pats become a permanent fixture in all economic, military, and social policy making. Many no-pats are still distrustful of governments that exiled them and refuse calls to reassimilate. No-pat leaders emerge, inspiring a new identity, unbound to former nationality, drawing a line in the sand between the old world and the new normal. Hashtag We Are No-Pats becomes a rallying cry. Amidst the world rebuilding, sparks of friction erupt between the US and Russia as the last two superpowers both vie for control of the fast-changing world. Finally, the blackout of 2040. A sudden space debris storm creates a Kessler effect, causing 70% of all orbiting satellites to malfunction and crash to Earth. The cause is unknown. The subsequent blackout causing mass devastation, planes crash, communication grids collapse. Already jammed global supply chains come to a complete standstill. Prices of oil, grain, and coal skyrocket exponentially. Unsubstantiated claims report over 100,000 lives are lost. World on the brink goes over the edge. No internet, no navigation, no surveillance, no storm forecasts. Geopolitical distrust surges overnight. No one can spy on each other, so no one can trust each other. Both Russia and the US claim the other is responsible for the blackout, while some suspect no-pats were behind it and accuse them of trying to sow the anarchy. Former military and combat-trained specialists amongst the no-pats rise into armed task forces to defend themselves as tensions rise. The brink of war. A food and fuel shortage ignites a shadow war between the US and Russia. To maintain plausible deniability, both sides field no-pat task force as proxies in escalating conflicts over resources, promising the refugees a piece of what's left. 2042, open war's imminent. No-pats have no choice but to choose sides, fighting not for a flag, but for their future. Their war is your story. What we're hearing is there is no single-player campaign for this game. Instead, the campaign story will be told through the multiplayer and the various content drops, much like Call of Duty and much like Warzone. Let's take a look a little deeper into this game and see what this world has to offer with all of its crazy. So at this point, Battlefield is known for its large game modes and Levolution, and 2042 hopes to kind of keep that going. Battlefield 2042 marks the return of the iconic all-out warfare of the franchise. Adapt and overcome to dynamically changing battlegrounds with the help of your squad and cutting-edge arsenal. With support for 128 players on PS5, the higher-end Xbox, and PC, PS4 and the regular old Xbox One will have to play on 64-player games. Prepare for unprecedented scale on vast environments. Take on massive experiences, from updated multiplayer modes like Conquest and Breakthrough to the all-new Hazard Zone. From what we're seeing here, it sounds like the map design for the Conquest is essentially built kind of like Warzone, where there's individual small pockets of maps for players to fight in, kind of making up a larger map, if that makes sense. Breakthrough, we're going to see two teams, attackers and defenders, battle over large-scale sectors as the attackers push towards the final objective. This sounds a lot like Rush, so if you're familiar with that game mode, this is pretty much what it sounds like, so nothing kind of new there. Hazard Zone, we have no idea what this is going to be, but my guess is going to be this is something along the lines of the Battle Royale mode. And there is this redacted mode that nobody seems to know anything about. That's going to be shown on July 22nd, so keep an eye out for that. But let's take a little deeper look into the maps that we're going to be playing on, since we know we have these three game modes. The first map that we're going to see is Orbital. It's a race against time and hostile conditions as you fight around the site for an imminent rocket launch. Watch out for both enemy fire and upcoming storms on this dynamic map. This is the map that we see in the trailer with the Ospreys coming in and the rocket tower kind of falling down with the storm in the background. So Hourglass is going to be based in Qatar. Fight in a city lost to desertification around it. Massive dust and sandstorms are constantly rolling in, blotting out natural light as you fight for control of the convoy trapped in the shifting sands. Sounds like a pretty interesting map. I'm kind of digging stuff like that. Kaleidoscope. In a state-of-the-art metropolis in South Korea, zipline between skyscrapers and fight among the plazas surrounding the city's iconic data center. Pretty basic, gotta have a good city map, right? And especially for that Levolution to show that off. Manifest. Watch out for tropical tornadoes and navigate through maze-like cargo containers in this key trade location. Vital to the American supply lines. Discarded. Along a strategic section of India's west coast, colossal ships stranded on the beach are being stripped for parts. Fight among the hulls of these behemoths while adapting to deadly storms. Breakaway. Tread carefully on this dynamic map where oil extraction has turned the freezing area into a strategic hotspot. Take advantage of destructible fuel tanks and silos to create debris fields and permanent fires when destroyed. Finally, we have Renewal. A giant wall built to secure rich, man-made agricultural areas takes center stage on this intense map. Prepare for the extreme conditions, deploy and secure the access points, and massive gates in the wall. So it sounds like we have lots of diversity in the maps, but let's take a look at the specialists that are going to be fighting on these maps. So at this point, we are seeing 4 specialists. We're going to start with this Webster McKay. An ex-military lone wolf specialist, McKay is an ass-kicker with a conscience. This Canadian-born assault soldier fights for the non-pats to make right a regret from his military days. He has a grappling hook, which fires a rope that attaches to surfaces. When attached, the rope is retracted, much like that of Hardline, from what it sounds like. Nimble allows the player to move more quickly while aiming down sights. So it sounds like there are kind of perks and there are equipment added to each specialist, kind of like Maria Falk. She is a veteran support. Maria Falk has a strong will that cannot be shaken by danger, fear, or rank. This skilled medic's primary motivation is to find her son David among the non-pat groups spread across the world. She has the Sirit pistol, which fires a syringe at friendlies to provide healing. If fired at an enemy, the syringe will do damage. She also has a combat surgeon skill, which allows the player to return downed allies to combat with full health when reviving. So here we have Boris. Not going to attempt that name. Self-motivated and self-fulfilling. Boris seeks to acquire power and control in a chaotic world. This Russian-born engineer is a very experienced weapons expert on the task force, although his true attachment to the team is suspect. He has the SG-36 security system, which is an automatically spots and engages enemy targets. Sounds like a turret. And the sentry operator spots the enemy's target when the sentry turret locks on to the enemy in question. So a pretty handy utility character from the sounds of it there. Then we have Casper. A recon soldier, Wickus is a loner and the unflappable. Calm presence on the task force, an introvert, Wickus does not make acquaintances easily, but his determination to fight for a better world is rock solid. So he has a OVP recon drone that spots nearby enemy moving targets and can disorient this spots nearby enemy moving targets. This spots nearby moving targets and can disorient enemies by using EMP blasts, and can also be used to designate targets for lock-on weapons. He also has a movement sensor. This alerts the player to approaching enemies, both with boots on the or when piloting the recon drone. So finally, we have all of the just kind of miscellaneous information in the FAQ, so let's read through this really quickly. So Battlefield 2042 is set to launch on October 22nd. In the months heading up to the launch, there will be an open beta available to players across all the platforms. If you pre-order, you will get early access to the open beta, so if you pre-order, that's a solid way to go. I'm just going to keep an eye on that. But the big question here is going to be the live service plans for Battlefield 2042. We are taking a new approach to live service of Battlefield game where players will be given the services and evolution they came to expect from modern multiplayer games, all aimed at keeping the community playing together for several years to come. We'll be evolving our game and expanding on the fiction through seasons, each one lasting for about 3 months. Each season will come with a free and paid battle pass, delivering new content to chase after. In our first year live service, we will deliver 4 seasons with 4 battle passes and 4 new specialists along with more fresh content. We'll have more to share on the first season of Battlefield 2042 before launch. So be sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date on the latest Battlefield and Call of Duty news. And while you're down there, go and hit the subscribe button. Appreciate it. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you around.